This weekend, it is another event in Yoctangee Park. It is the Fall Food and Music Festival presented by First Capital RUCK 22. We have individuals with us in studio today. And to my left, I have Nick Booher with me, along with Loren McGuire and Ed Kirker on the far end over there. They're going to tell us more about what's going on this Saturday. We had them on here not long ago to give us a little preview. Well, now we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about it coming up in just a moment. Right after this, from our friends at Classic Brands.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
I guess the first thing that we should note is, what is RUCK 22? Let's do that first to let people realize what the program is and its reason, its purpose.
Its purpose is to raise awareness for veteran suicide awareness. The 22 stands for 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. And while we're not probably not going to be able to stop everybody, but like our logo says, one is too many. If we get to stop one, we're doing something great.
Right.
So it's to basically raise awareness and get veterans the help and guidance that they need.
Mm-hmm. Pull that mic a little closer to you there, if you would. That's Ed Kirker, and we've got Loren McGuire with us, and also Nick Booher. And fellas, when you were here last, we talked about the importance of what this is all about. I know it's food, it's music, it's fun, but there is the serious side of this.
Absolutely.
So like Ed said before, First Capital RUCK 22 was formed to bring awareness to and hopefully help prevent veteran suicide. Obviously, we got our name. We came up with our name, Chillicothe being the first capital. A ruck is a march, and 22 represents the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide.
I guess the one thing I missed was the ruck part, being a march.
Correct.
I was not aware of that. Okay. So is that something that if you were in the military, you know?
Yeah, if you're in the military, you understand what a ruck is.
Okay.
One of the things we're doing for the event this year is we're having a 5K and a 22K. And some of the participants will have a rucksack on with 22 pounds in it. That registration for that starts at 8 o'clock, and the run, walk, or jog, whatever they want to do for the 5 and 22K, starts at 9, and that will be at the Pump House Art Gallery.
Now, Nick and I did not serve; our sons did, but you fellas have been there. You know what that's like. What is it like to? I mean, I can try to envision what it's like to go 25 miles with a backpack on, but to really do it, you guys have.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, Dan. So typically, at least when I was in, we had a huge ruck on, and it was a we call it a forced march. So I believe it was 21 miles at that point, if I remember correctly. And it takes quite some time to get that feat done. So
It's usually about 3 a.m. and pouring down rain too.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest difference between when we were active is forced march, and this is doing it for a cause which is desperately needed. So I think that's the biggest reason, is one reason why we're doing it, is because it gets people involved, and suicide's actually touched a lot more people than you think. We found that out when we started doing this group, that it really has touched a lot of people.
A lot of people don't like to talk about it, and that's their main thing, to get our goal, break it out and have it, more awareness to it. And Ross County didn't have anything at the time that we knew of it. Ed and I started this, and we didn't have anything that we knew of around here. We had some suicide awareness, but we didn't have any veteran suicide awareness, and that was our goal, is to bring it to Ross County.
And when the guys and gals started coming back from the most recent conflict, it just seemed like it skyrocketed, didn't it?
It has. Typically, most of your units will have double or triple the amount of suicides than they did losing people in combat. it's incredible the amount of numbers of suicide that happens. I mean, with our 22 steps of reflection, one of the statistics is, and it's pretty simple math, just 22 times 365 times 22 since 9/11, and it's basically like 186,000 suicides. The Marine Corps has 175,000, or maybe those numbers are backwards, but
Correct.
But it's essentially just wiped out the entire Marine Corps by suicide.
And I would have to think that I'm trying to remember back the numbers of the men and women that we lost during the conflict. I don't think we lost that many.
No, it's
due to the battle.
Right. It's due to, I mean, it's a few thousand, but we're up in the hundreds of thousands with suicide. It's
They feel they don't have no one to talk to. That's what we're finding out. And we had a camp out here not too long ago out to the VA. We had 11 people with PTSD we brought in and had them come out. And there's all from all different branches. And they come, and within an hour, I kind of seen the guard drop down. I just sat back and watched. And I'm not a veteran, but I sat back in the background and watched, and they dropped their guard, relaxed, and they felt safe and comfortable. And next thing you know, they're all just like brothers all together again. It just a camaraderie of it was amazing. And it really, really transformed into something that it's going to be really big here. We've got another one going on coming in October. And then there's other branches around us on the VA. They want us to go at different places and tell them how to do it. And it's very easy because we build a fire, bring people in, and have food. And they sit down, they just kind of mingle with each other. And next thing you know, they're just like, hey, what's going on?
everybody's got the exact same problem that's sitting there. So there's no judgment. Who's going to judge you because you have the exact same issue? Right. So they drop their guard and they start talking, and you could see the shoulders. You could see the physical transformation in them, and let alone the mental. But it is. When we did this one in the spring, we figured we'd have another one in the fall, which we are. What we didn't know is Michigan just had one. Fort Wayne just had one. They're getting one going in West Virginia, in Kentucky, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus. They all want us to come and supervise and set it all up. So it's moving, and it's moving fast, all on the idea of counseling without counseling. Let's just sit there and talk.
Right. Yep. So we're trying to change the way maybe the VA looks at treating PTSD. If you put veterans in a group together, regardless of what branch of service you're in, it changes the dynamic of how they interact. So, you two not being veterans and Ed and I being veterans, there's a different aspect or the way you look at things sometimes, and it's easier when you get a group of veterans together for them to open up and to talk and to relate to one another.
Yeah, I don't think he would complain if I said this, but my son, who has gone through counseling, when he first started getting counseling at the VA, his big adjustment was that person sitting across the desk is book smart, but they haven't been there. They haven't experienced the trauma. They've heard about it, but until you've experienced it, you don't know.
And that was our big push with the VA is, trust me, you have to have guided counseling. You need it. You have to have it. But you also need this type of counseling without counseling where you're just talking to your brothers and sisters and dropping the guard. And that, we've seen it how many times? Not just out there, but different places.
Several.
Mm-hmm. And how many times have we seen guys and gals come back and their family wants to interact with them and they want to ask questions, they want to know, but they don't ask the right questions.
Yes.
Or it's like, I really don't want to talk about this right now.
A lot of truth to that, because I've tried it with my own son there. He said, Dad, I'm not ready to talk about it yet. I said, I'll give you time, but I'm here always for you. So,
right. And you have to develop that understanding.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a side of it that we don't think about when you sign up for the military service.
Right.
And those who served during peacetime probably didn't have that level of trauma. But when you've been in battle and had to do things that you aren't normally expected to do as a human being, that's where these things come to light.
Right. Exactly. I mean, the day you sign up, people don't think about it, but I don't care which branch you go in, Coast Guard, Air Force, whatever. Everybody's like, oh, they're staying in the back. But essentially, you're writing a check to the government up into including your life. So that's always there. Anytime they can pull you and have you go do something, and you may not come back. Yeah. But thank God they didn't cash it, but you wrote the check.
We're talking about veteran suicide awareness here today. I was thinking when a soldier was recently honored by one of the Major League Baseball teams, they'll show up, and some of them will wear their full dress blues, whichever the case may be, and they're standing on top of the dugout, and everyone is applauding. And I thought to myself, what this man or woman has seen and experienced, we see the patriotic pageantry of it all, but what's going through their mind while they're standing there soaking in and they would probably do it all over again. Absolutely. Because of their love for country.
Yeah, we're all volunteered. They're all volunteered military. I mean, that's it.
One of the toughest questions or maybe not questions, but statements for me to answer personally is when somebody says, thank you for your service. So, that's difficult for me to respond to sometimes. It may be, I was honored to do it and would do it again. So, and I know that, other veterans kind of feel the same way when somebody thanks you for your service. It's difficult sometimes to respond to.
Yeah. I recall the first seeing that happen after boot camp. We went down to Lackland Air Base in San Antonio, and the boys wanted to go to Six Flags over Texas, so we did. And while we were there, they were wearing their cadet uniforms and everything. Airman uniforms. don't want to get the Air Force mad at me. A gentleman walks up, shook my son's hand, and said, thank you for your service. And I didn't realize until that moment what kind of service it was, and what kind of sacrifice was going to be down the road for him. Right. Yeah, it's incredible. So keep that in mind when you do think a veteran, especially if you see a veteran that has a ball cap on it that says Korean War, Vietnam War. If they're still around from World War II, thank them because their job was important.
Absolutely.
Even if they served in peacetime. Now, we're really getting into some deep issues here. But Saturday, there's going to be some fun involved with Saturday's event. As you mentioned, there's going to be running involved, walking involved, but there's going to be music, food, and more.
Correct. So our opening ceremony is at 9 o'clock, and that kicks off the run. The first band comes on stage at 9:15, and then the last band ends at 9:30 that evening. So it's going to be an all-day music festival. Right now, I believe we have 15 food trucks. Probably 25 to 30 vendors. There's going to be a magic show, balloon art for the kids. There's going to be a dance performance as well. Lori Graves will also do a comedy routine on the main stage in the park as well. So it's an all-day event encompassing everybody. Everybody can come. The event is no charge. We just ask that you come down and support our organization for veteran suicide awareness.
But the food's not free.
The food is not free.
Everything else.
But everything else is free.
Our main ceremony is at noon, and we'll have a color guard there and everything else, and then the 22 steps. We'll have that all for everybody. And, we hope everybody comes and enjoys. I mean, bring a chair, sit down and listen to some good music. We got 8 different bands going to be playing. There's a variety of pack what we have, so come enjoy.
I think the thing that escapes people is the fact that if you're just now hearing about this, only the annex is not being used by this. All of Yoctangee
We're using
Park,
the entire park, correct?
Exactly. Park. So every bandstand, every shelter house is going to be something in regards to RUCK, First Capital RUCK 22.
Yes,
exactly.
One thing that's, if you only got a couple minutes to swing down, I know you've heard us talk about the 22 steps. The 22 steps of reflection is simply that. It's just facts of veteran suicide, like 22 a day, it equals this. In comparison, it's this. How many? It's just on and on. It's very, very impactful. So if you only got a few minutes, at least walk through the 22 steps and read those. And it'll stop you in your tracks when you start reading them.
Where will the 22 steps be located in the park?
Those should be up by the main stage as well, along with 22 flags that are going to be put out.
And the main
by the
stage
Lions
is the one over by the YMCA on that side of the lake?
No, the grandstand is the white raised building stand down there. It's where they have the
so
bands at.
the bandstand there.
Yeah, the
Okay.
bandstand's where we're going to have that at.
Okay, very good.
And we have Logan, ROTC, coming in and doing the color guard for us, too. I
great.
reached out to Staff Sergeant Wilson, and he hooked us up with that, too, so from the Ohio National Guard. So
Fantastic. Anything we have missed? I'm sure there's something.
just come enjoy. I mean, it's an all-day event. Come anytime. Just stop in and say hey or whatever and show your support. That's all we ask.
Very good.
There is one thing that on top of all of the food and bands and stuff, we're doing several raffles. Several raffles.
We also have our coins that we're going to sell again.
Coins and
We have
T-shirts.
Coins out there, and we have T-shirts. So
But
anything you can come support us. I mean,
Every
that's all we
single
ask.
penny goes back towards the veterans.
Yep. We're a nonprofit.
We are a nonprofit. We don't take a dime. Every penny is tracked and goes back to the veterans.
Not a one of us are making anything off this. All we're doing is donating our time and hoping we make awareness. And like we say, if one's too many, if we can save one, we're doing our job.
Just as our military members have volunteered their time, these folks are volunteering their time as well to get that awareness out. Guys, thank you again for coming in. Ed, Loren, thank you for your service. Nick, thanks for being a parent.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
They have a very special role in this as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, for Litter Media, thank you again for watching. It again is the First Capital RUCK 22 Food and Music Festival. It starts, the first band, as I mentioned, will be up and going after 9 o'clock and all the way through the evening. And don't forget they have their military services that will be taking place noontime and another at 9 to start off the run. We'll talk to you again with another edition of Litter Media Live.
Thank you for having us.